welcome. My name's Petra. I'm here today with my lovely daughter Natasha. Together we're Knit Inc. and we are very excited to bring you episode 15.
Yeah, welcome. Special welcome to our new viewers and welcome back to our returning viewers. We're glad you're here. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, we're at knit_inc. And yeah, today is Saturday, May 15th. I'm down in Stonington at my mom's, and it is actually like a really nice day. I feel like in New England we go from winter, 2 days of spring, and then summer.
It feels like summer today,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, everything, the trees are nice and green, but that is resulting in some serious allergies. I'm sure I'm not alone here. I just took some medication that will hopefully kick in the middle of this recording, so maybe I'll sound a little less croaky halfway through. But yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since we've recorded and we have a lot to talk about. So we're going to be jam-packed, lots of fun things. We've got our normal FOs, we've got whips. I actually have a surprise. I don't know if it's a surprise. It's more like a project I haven't talked to you about. And I'm excited to get some feedback and thoughts from folks as well.
And the camera just fell.
Okay, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So
a surprise project that you want to get some feedback on.
Yeah. So I would just like to say thank you to everyone for your kind comments, both here on YouTube, Instagram, and Ravelry.
Ravelry, yes. I also want to say a really special welcome to Czech knitters that came to us definitely on Instagram, and I hope you're watching. So if you are, ahoj, vítáme vás, já jsem tak moc ráda, že se na nás koukáte a pletete snase. Nevím, jestli jsem to řekla pořádně, ale vítáme vás moc. Děkuji.
Okay, I know Děkuji is thank you. What else did you just say?
I just said that I'm welcoming, especially the Czech knitters. It makes me really happy that there's knitters from the Czech Republic that are watching and knitting with us because, that's where I was born. I spent the first 6 years of my life there. You and Anna spent a few summers when my parents retired and lived in the countryside. So I have a lot of nostalgia for Czech Republic.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country. Prague is gorgeous too.
So yes, we're just so excited that you're watching, and all of you that are watching and enjoying our episodes, and we both enjoy reading your comments.
Yeah, totally.
So shall we get into it today, Natasha?
Yeah.
What are you wearing
What
today?
am I wearing?
You look like summer today.
Yeah, so I think I will be excited to start sharing some summer knits. So this is called the Thornette. So actually quite a bit to talk about for this tank top. So this is my second Thornette. My first one, I'll insert a little photo, was orange. And then I had some leftover yarn. This paler blue was from, so let me back up. So you had bought a bunch of skeins of linen. When I was getting married, you were thinking of knitting a dress for my wedding, and so you had ordered a bunch of, let me just double check the brand, Quince & Co. Sparrow, in a variety of colors and just single skeins. And I kind of talked you out of moving forward with knitting a dress for my wedding because there was so much other stuff going on that I didn't want you to stress yourself out for it.
And my knitting peaks actually talked me off the ledge. They basically said, Petra, this is a really crazy, stressful idea.
Yeah.
I had picked out a very elaborate, fancy lace linen dress that I was going to knit as the mother of the bride. And that idea lasted for about a month.
Yeah, it had to balance like supporting your excitement for it and being realistic. So I think, maybe you could still knit a beautiful dress, but having a timeline for your daughter's wedding when there was so much else to plan and worry about was just not what you needed to do. So you had all these beautiful single skeins, and you might have settled on this color because you had a couple of them. I think you had two or three, and you were gonna need more for the dress. But when you decided, maybe this is my ulterior motive, when you decided that you weren't gonna use it, I was like, well, I'll take those skeins. So I knit a different tank top with this paler periwinkle that I'll talk about another time. So then I had all these scraps. So I decided to put them to use. So this pattern is from the Pom Pom Quarterly. It's actually from summer 2016. And when I did my first Thornette, I didn't realize that you actually had the printed book, and I bought it online. So I have the electronic version.
I had the ebook with this. I actually bought this when the Pom Pom magazine came out because I love this pattern on the cover, and I did make it. I will share that in a future episode.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, so then when I found out, I said, oh, gosh, Natasha, I have that.
But that's okay. Now we supported them twice. So I'm gonna try and find, this is the tank top that I did. So my first one was a little truer to the pattern with the length. It's knit, you hold two strands together of linen.
And it's fingering weight linen.
Yep, and you do bottom up. So because it's 2 strands, you can see here's the purple, and then I held purple with a medium blue, and then I held the medium blue with the lighter blue, and then I just had the blue holding double. And then there's a lace panel here, and I actually did the lace panel incorrectly on this one. I did it correctly on the other. And then I ran out of my scraps, and I had to find some more linen scraps. And so this lace panel on the right side has some blue yarn. So everything is Quince & Co. Sparrow except this, which was
Claudia hand painted.
Claudia
linen.
hand painted, yeah. And
she's from Charlottesville, Virginia. Anyway, that's another story. Yeah, it looks really gorgeous, Natasha.
It's an interesting construction. You do the ribbing, and then you just do the front, the back, and then the 2 side panels, and then you seam the side panels together, and there's like a V-neck here. So yeah, it's fun. It's a great way to use up some linen if you want to do some marling, because the pattern's written for holding 2 strands together, so you don't have to do too much math there.
Right.
Yeah, I think, is that all I wanted to say about this? Oh, let me say, so I actually started this in August 2020, and I finished it at the end of April this year. So I was trying to finish it for the warmer weather last year, but then at the end of August, I was probably excited about casting on more winter knits. So this sat, and then I was like, I had done the front and 1 lace panel, so all I had to do was the back and another lace panel to finish. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I should say, no, that's not true. I did the front and the back, and I should actually talk about this, because I had to do some weighing, because you're not knitting in the round. I had to weigh out my 2 colors for the medium, the strip here, the medium blue, and the purple. I split them in half by weighing them so that I would have match up for the 2 sides. So I lied. I had not done the front and the side. I had just done part of the front and the back, and then finished up the lace panels in this spring. So that is my Thornette. Oh, and it is by Sara Thornett. Yeah, in the Pom Pom summer 2016.
Can you buy it as a standalone pattern, or is it only available?
Let's see.
Because it came out in 2016. Sometimes the individual patterns are available after a certain period of time. And also,
yes, you can buy it individually.
Okay. And Natasha, roughly how much yarn, how much linen did you use altogether? Do you have any idea? Probably in terms of weight, right? We'd have to weigh it.
Yeah.
I bet it's about
not a ton. I mean, the original
maybe?
pattern calls for it to be a bit longer.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the pattern here to see.
And did you knit the smallest size? There's 5 sizes here.
Oh my goodness, all these questions.
Well, people can go to your Ravelry page, I guess.
I didn't comment what size I did for this one. I think I did the first size.
Mm-hmm. And it's a good fit for you.
Oh, okay. So I did the second size, actually. I wrote down on the first one I did, I wrote down, I did size 2.
This looks so different to your other one, because you made the other one in just 1 color.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a completely different look. And I feel like the other one fits you a little bit looser. Oh, yes. It's that yarn that's got a twist.
Okay, that's right. That one was, I knit the size 2 and I thought it was a little too big, so this was the size 1.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, you should put that because, excuse me, I was looking back on some of my projects.
Let me do that right now.
where I didn't put what size, and then when you want to go and maybe make it again or make a variation, you think you'll remember, but you don't.
I know. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm definitely sporadic or inconsistent. Okay.
I am too, but I'm trying to be better. And also needles. It's good to know what needles you use. I used to be really bad about putting all that information, but it's great for reference. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a really great project, and I'm happy that all those little bits and pieces of linen are out of my stash.
Yeah,
actually.
and this blue was left over from one of my other tank tops that I gave
And I
Anna.
love that pop of color. That's what I noticed first when you put it on. I thought, wow, that's a really interesting pop right there.
Thanks, Mom.
So, very creative.
So let's talk about what you're wearing.
I'm excited to have finished my Ochre pullover. So this is a pattern by Ambah O'Brien, and she also has a cardigan version that came out in 2019. This pattern came out just April, and I loved it. And I made it, and I think it took me about 3 weeks. I talked about it at the last episode that I was using reclaimed yarn from one of my sweet knitting friends that reclaims yarn, and she gave me this black ribbon. It's 70% silk. This is all I have left over now. This is about 170 grams. I think this was about 200 something grams that I used up, and I used a size US 2.5 needle, so it's knit at a pretty tight gauge, but it went really quickly. And I mentioned that I was making this to go with I'm going to stand out with my linen dress.
Look at how beautiful
skirt.
This lace is.
I know, and I'm so happy. We'll insert an FO picture that I think it goes pretty well with my skirt. I thought, and I made it much shorter than I make a lot of my tops. It's not cropped by any means, but I like the length, and I love this. When you bend your elbow, then you can see the lace pattern.
It's so elegant, Mom, and it looks store-bought, which I think can be a really high compliment for hand knits when it looks like this was from Ann Taylor for
my skirt is from Ann Taylor. But look, I love this, and this is really it's just yarn over knit 2 together on one row.
Oh, okay.
And it makes a really nice well, I don't know what you call this.
Neckline?
Neckline, thank you. And this actually blocked really well.
Beautifully.
Because when I was knitting it, it's a ribbon yarn. It definitely seemed kind of bumpy.
Crinkly,
yeah. But I gave it a good soak in soak. And I just finished it this week. Today's my first day wearing it. And
yay!
So I'm excited to just make all the summer things now. We just transition just like that. But we are also working on some winter things. So yeah, I'm wondering if
maybe I'll make a tank top.
There's definitely enough here for a tank top for you. I'm really hoping that you'll be inspired. And there's some buttons that I didn't use that that maybe might be nice for a summer tank with some. Actually, you have one with buttons that you knit, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I do. It's the red thing, but the yarn has a twist and my buttons go diagonally across.
That's right. So this doesn't have a twist. Okay, so any other FOs?
I have one other FO.
And I have one other FO too.
This is my...
Oh, wow.
I know, this is so random. I have this Dreamweaver pillow. And this is from Knit Collage. Oh, you know what? Let me back up. I just want to say, before we go into other FOs, I just wanted to say, okay, we saw this is the Ochre pullover, and just I'll insert the lettering of that there I'll insert the lettering. I'll insert the video of me lettering it here. I'll have some editing to do on this one. This was with the Tombow Food and Asuke pen. It's a fine tip pen. So if you are new here, I also do hand lettering. So, you know, every so often in some of the episodes, I will insert some information about some pens I like to use. These are very easily, readily available on Amazon. It's a nice fine tip, hard tip pen for writing, for maybe for envelopes or place cards or just some tags to wrap up with your knitting. So that was the pen I used for the writing the Ochre pullover. Okay, so my other FO is kind of random, but it's kind of fun. This is the Dreamweaver pillow. I wanted to say pullover.
We're used to pillows.
Dreamweaver pillow by Knit Collage, and Amy, she's actually located just outside of Boston, so I've met her a couple times, and she's really sweet. And her company Knit Collage does these spring knit-alongs where you can buy the pattern, and there's usually like at least 5 different patterns. A pillow, some tees, sweaters, and it's definitely chunkier, bulkier yarn. And with the knit along, and purchasing the yarn, you get access to all the patterns that are in the knit along, and video help and everything. So I done one other a couple of years ago. I did a vest, but I wanted to try. I thought this pillow was really fun. So this is called Intralac, yeah. Which is the style of kind of knitting where it looks woven. And at first I was super intimidated, but the pattern is so well written, and it was a fun. Took me like 2 days. The other side is just garter.
But that looks nice too.
Yeah, and then you crochet them together, and then you make these tassels. And I just bought the pillow on Amazon, a 17-inch pillow.
I love the tassels.
She had colors chosen out for, for kits. I made this one because I've got blue and yellow. My couch is kind of a navy blue, and then I have some yellow pillows. I wish that I had done like more contrast color to the couch, but I still like it. This is their like Dreamweaver, not Dreamweaver, Spun Cloud yarn, and then this yellow is actually fabric, yeah. And Amy supports women in India with the spinning and preparing the yarn. So she's got a fabulous business. If you haven't heard her, check her out.
And don't they use recycled saris and things like that?
This is cotton tape. Yeah, it's really great business.
And it's pretty. It's got a pretty floral print on it. Yeah. And you've designed some pins for some of her events, haven't you? Do you have any of those pins?
I have them up in Boston, and then I have it's okay. I had done some lettering for Amy as well. So I will insert a photo of the I have a pin and a tape measure that has the lettering on it too. Okay, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. Okay. All right, so that I think is
your FOs?
My FOs, yeah.
I have one FO that I'm just going to talk about very briefly because maybe you can guess what it is. And I think this is the last time I'm going to say Snedronginden, which I totally messed up. So forgive me, Danish people. It is Danish. I previously I've said it's Finnish or some other language. It's definitely Danish, Ice Queen. And voila, here it is.
Yay!
The only things that I want to say about it is that a lovely viewer commented and suggested that I do corrugated rib, and I would not have thought of it. And I think it's a really great finish.
Totally.
I did do just 3 rows of the little fleece, and doing the corrugated rib allowed me to use more of the handspun yarn.
Yeah.
The host bloomed beautifully on blocking, and the cone is gone. And then I don't have it handy, but I do have a little bit left. I think it's under 50 grams. I have 47 grams left out of that 500 plus gram cone. So I definitely made good use of it. it bloomed so beautifully that you can see how even the knitting is. And so this is an opportunity that I want to talk about the color catches. A few of you have asked, and the color catches, I can't take credit for this idea. This was recommended to me by our lovely knitting peeps from Rhode Island. You know who you are. So thank you for that, because this cloudberry Holst super soft yarn bled like crazy. Natasha will insert a picture of when I soaked this, how much bled. And so all I do is I put, so this is the color catcher, and it's these sheets. So for this, because I knew it was going to bleed and I had some light contrast yarn that I didn't want to pick up the color, I put 2 of these sheets in with the water. And at the end of it, these pick up all the dye and they're dark. Wow. If it's something that I don't think is going to bleed much or a little, I just use one, and you can reuse them until they've basically picked, until they're saturated. So the only other thing I'll say about this is that because it bleeds so much, I soak it with the color catcher, give it a swirl, and change the water almost immediately. And it's really dark. And then I do that twice, and then the third time...
So it's not blocking, it's not soaking in all that color.
It's not soaking in all that dye, yeah. And then the third time, there's not that much color in the water. There's still a little. I keep the same color catchers in, and then I let it soak for 20 minutes or so. And then I gently squeeze it, roll it into a towel, let it sit in the towel, and then I just lay it out gently, on a rack. I don't do any pinning or anything. I just lay it flat, and this dried really quickly, and that's it.
Awesome. So Anna's ready for summer.
Anna's ready for summer, and I've put my dad's button on here, which also helps to figure out which is the front. There are some short rows, but then when you're putting it on, you'll know that that's the front of the sweater.
Awesome. Congratulations on finishing that.
Yeah, I'm glad I finished that. So that's it for FOs.
Yeah.
So works in progress, Natasha.
Should we start with our primroses?
Yeah, let's start with our primroses.
Okay, I'm going to hold up. So we talked about last time that we are each starting the Primrose sweater by Marie Wallin. And before we get into the knitting, I'll just share that pen with you because it's super fun. These are also Japanese pens. These are called Kuretake, and it is a much wider tip pen, and it's metallic ink, which is fun because it gives a little sheen to the lettering, and you can write on darker paper too. So yeah, that is, these are also pretty widely available pens. And if you click on the We're Into It links below, that will bring you to our product page. And we have some Amazon affiliate links there to link right to our favorite pens, if you'd like to check those out. So on to the Primrose, and we have a lot to say about this pattern and this yarn. So I hope you, even though we're like so excited to get into the linen and the summer knitting, this is still happening. So I was laughing like, oh, I'm not going to be working with wool, but who am I kidding?
But this knitting is the kind of knitting that you only really, at least me, only do in short bursts. It does take concentration. It's not for late night after 2 glasses of wine kind of knitting.
Yeah, and we will go into a few reasons why.
Yes. So Natasha started before me and she's made a lot more progress. How are we going to tackle this?
So I guess I'll start with some of my experience and then you can chime in with some of your experience. So
okay, let's just show them. They're very similar, except that, yeah, very similar. Okay, you go ahead, Natasha.
Okay, so last time I had started my cuff, and I was you're knitting the cuffs on size 2, and you're changing every 2 rounds.
Can we talk about the tubular cast on and how you kind of got me into doing that?
I don't think the pattern called for tubular cast on, but that's what I did.
And you sort of convinced me or slightly pressured me into doing the tubular cast on. And I'm really happy that I did.
Yeah.
It's actually not that complicated.
No, it's not.
But can you see it gives a really beautiful finish,
yours is looser than mine, so it looks nice, but yeah.
Okay, sorry, continue.
No worries. Okay, so last time I was talking about how it's kind of difficult because you're on such small circumference and you are changing color every two rows, and we have had some people reach out about some recommendations. That Patty Lyons has a helpful tip on jogless join for when you're just doing one row of a color. That came through on Ravelry, so thank you for that message. But it is also difficult to keep it tight between there too. So beyond just like the jogless join, it's also tough to keep that connection. So that was a bit of a struggle, and I think we've been discussing like, would that have been better on DPNs? Maybe, but I think DPNs might have also resulted in some ladders. So it's a bit fiddly to start with the cuffs.
I'm gonna interject.
Go for it.
So I did do my cuffs on DPN actually, just the ribbing.
Yep.
And then I was doing the weave and Steven. I think somebody else recommended that here.
And the weave and Steven, if you don't know, that's Stephen West is the one that like coined that little term, but basically it's as you are, and I think he's got videos about this, but basically you weave in as you go, rather than waiting till the end. But it kind of, and I'm having this problem on my body, you can kind of see, well, go ahead and show.
Yeah, so because you're weaving in actually 2 strands, because each time,
you're weaving in a strand and on every row, because when you start a color, new color, you're weaving in the tail of that one, and then you do that for one row, and then on your second row you're weaving in the beginning of that new color that you used for the previous row. So you're weaving in a strand every single row,
and what that resulted in, at least for me,
and you can see it on mine here.
Oh yeah, on the body, is that it looks almost like brioche for the first 5 of stitches of the rib, but I decided that I'm fine with that look. It kind of makes it individual. Inside. It makes it stretchy, and so this is the not such a perfect part of the sleeve where the join is, but my logic is that it's going to be on the underarm, and I'm okay with it.
And it's going to Anna. Yours is going to Anna. Mine's going to me. And so while we're on the like join part, the way the pattern is written is that you're increasing as you're going, right? So you're doing color work, you're not only doing color work, you're doing color work with 14 different colors, and you're increasing. And the way the pattern is written is that when you do the increase rows, sometimes you're starting a new color and you're creating a new stitch with a new color, and and you're doing that in 2 stitches next to each other. So I find it really difficult to keep it kind. I mean, you can see it's fine. It's not like 100% perfect, and I'm okay with that.
I don't think you will be able to get it completely perfect.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just kind of wish that the increases were worked in a way that there was like, it wasn't the first stitch of the round. Like if it could be your increases are after, and maybe you could do that too.
But the reason I think you would then have to build the increases into the repeating of the pattern. That's why you do the first stitch. I've thought about this.
Yeah.
Because for the sleeve, the pattern repeat is 24 stitches.
Right.
And so you're starting so that you have a full 48, you have a full 2 repeats of the pattern, 48 stitches, and then you have about 2 or 3 stitches on the end, at the beginning and the end, left over.
And you're increasing.
So you're expanding the pattern.
Yeah.
So if you were to, the only way to overcome this is if the pattern was not 24 stitches repeat, but it was 1 repeat, and then you build the increased stitches into a pattern.
Right.
Which is too complicated.
Yeah.
But I know there are some patterns that do that, especially patterns that are top down where you're doing color work yokes and you're increasing, then the color work pattern, the increases are built into the color work pattern.
Right.
But that's a completely different scenario.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, it's
that
tough,
was
and
a lot.
this is why it's not late night knitting. So we've also had some people reach out and comment about just being careful about this being too small.
Yes.
So my first sleeve, it's right below my my armpit. It's pulling down because it's rolling on from the holders it's on. But I think it'll be okay. I'm being pretty conscious of keeping it loose, and my second sleeve is definitely a little looser. Not so much that it's gonna be crazy different, but just a little bit, because we also noticed is that when you're doing magic loop, when you're doing the smaller like forearm part of the sleeve,
it's a smaller circumference.
It's easier to pull the color work tight versus when you get up to like where I am on this sleeve, where I've got my 9-inch circulars and I
9-inch circulars.
That's a nod to needles at the ready. That you don't have to pull your cord through, and you can just keep going and going, and that helps stretch it out a little. So you had that same thing happen with your sleeves.
I had like a eureka moment when I got to about here, and all of a sudden I went from magic loop to just pulling, stretching, and my gauge changed.
Yeah, you can kind of tell it's like right here. Well, move your hand for a sec. Right here is what it was like, ooh.
Even though the increase rate is actually pretty much the same for this whole sleeve, isn't it?
And I can even kind of tell on mine as well.
And it even feels different. So so what I want to make sure is that when we knit the body, that we are using needles with the right circumference so that we can keep a little bit of tension, because that helps to keep your floats loose.
You don't want to do it on a small cord.
It's not too tight. Yeah, you don't want to do it, and you don't want to do it on a magic. Sometimes I do magic loop because my cord is too long. I've been really bad at that in the past, of just using any size cord that was available.
Right.
But I'm going to be much more mindful to use a cord so that there's just a little bit of tension, so that when you do your floats, you just naturally pull a little bit, and that I hope will result in a not too small sweater, because you definitely don't want this to be too tight. And I think this woolly wool, it's not going to stretch like superwash. If anything, it will get smaller with time.
Yeah.
So I think we're okay. I really appreciate the warnings that you guys sent us on the comments, because when those came through, I was only just starting. So I've been pretty mindful. And then there's some of you that are inspired to knit a Marie Wallin and maybe even a Primrose and knit with us. So I hope that these comments are helpful. Keep your floats loose. Pay attention to cable size and try it on often.
Yeah, so we started with the sleeves purposely because you can kind of figure out a few things as you go, and it's less commitment than the body for knitting in the round and figuring stuff out. Couple more things about this sweater. So I had mentioned last time that for the size I was knitting, you were supposed to start the collar work for the sleeve at row 7, but I wanted to start at row 1, which meant that I had 7 extra rows, which was probably going to be about an inch. And then I was like, oh God, now my sleeve is going to be an inch too long. So I eliminated 7 rows in the middle of my sleeve, which meant I actually eliminated on my mom's, it's this section here. So on mine, it would have been in between these two motifs. So you can see above my hand here how it's symmetrical, and then below my hand here is kind of this X motif. So there was supposed to be a section that would help divide those. And I kind of kicking myself, at least I kind of wish maybe I could have done at least 1 row of one color to break it up. It sort of flows into each other here. I'm okay with it. I'm talking myself into being okay with it.
I think it's fine.
But I think when I'm looking at yours, it looks so nice with the different with this added in. And the good thing is that it won't affect the sleeves lining up with the body, because the body starts with this one. So I don't have to worry about that. So I think that's mostly it on the sleeves. So you have
not quite one more thing. I would highly recommend starting with the sleeve, because at the beginning it's not as pleasant here, because you don't really have an opportunity to get into the rhythm, I would say, until you get to here. This was an easy section. So you get the hard stuff out of the way first. And I'm so looking forward to the body where I can really get into the rhythm and really enjoy the color work, because I kind of know what's coming. So you get the hard stuff done first. I think if I had done it the other way around, it would be a slog to finish the sleeves.
For sure.
It would be a really tough sleeve island.
Yeah.
So,
and I have one more thing to say about the sleeves too.
Okay.
So you knit the pattern. I don't think we're giving away too much as a secret sauce here. So you knit the pattern of the sleeve, and then you have about like 15 rows that you repeat starting from the beginning of the, I have to sneeze.
Okay.
Maybe it'll go away. So you start to repeat the sleeve pattern, but in the pattern, it doesn't actually help accommodate for when you're up here. You've increased, so you have more stitches than when you started with, but the pattern doesn't help you figure out where to start. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this quite right, but if you can imagine, so you can kind of see it here at the bottom. I've got the top of this pattern here, right? So when I'm looking at the chart, I had my repeat and then my stitches on the sides of my repeat that I was increasing for. So when you get up here, the sides that I was increasing for were not quite for the 24 stitch panel repeat. It was like 19 stitches or something.
Yeah, it's actually 21.
Or whatever. So then I had to look at the 24 stitch repeat was and figure out where subtract the stitches that it was tough because it's written, the pattern is not written for beginners.
Definitely
I cannot highlight that enough. I had to read the instructions just for the cuff ribbing like 3 times, be like, okay, because it's
minimally,
it's extremely minimally written, which is nice for it to be concise, but
it is a booklet. I mean, the pattern is a booklet.
Yeah.
I'm going to interject, Natasha, and say that the pattern is written more how classic knitting patterns used to be written, in the days pre-Ravelry, where you would buy the paper pattern and it would be 2 pages, and it would say, decrease for the sleeves or increase. So
right, it's not telling you how to increase. It just says like, the chart just like has a little a stitch bumped out, and it's like, oh, that's where you increase, and you have to know. I'm mostly doing like I'm trying to do make one left, make one right. But that's also tough because when you're doing that, you're pulling a strand from the color below, and sometimes that's not a color that matches. So that's what makes the increases a little crazy. So anyway, before you get into the yarn though, I have cast on for the body.
Oh yeah.
So I was kind of giving myself a break from some of the color work on the sleeves and just doing some of the ribbing on the body cuff, just so I could kind of bounce back and forth of depending on my brain power and time of day. So I've got all my stitch markers for my repeats, so that helps me stay on track. So I finished the ribbing, and I am now just starting the color work, and this is fun. This is like hands down fun. Yeah. I'm not increasing. I can get into the rhythm of the pattern. So I'm enjoying this now, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm keeping it loose. So the body is very exciting. So
that's great.
Yeah, I'm like about maybe a little over halfway with my second sleeve. So I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth between those two when I have the brain power. So you want to talk about the yarn?
Yeah, so the yarn is really lovely. We mentioned before that it smells very sheepy.
Yeah.
Some colors, this one doesn't smell that much actually. This is my favorite color.
And I don't have this one in my version.
It's the periwinkle, which is very similar to this periwinkle.
Similar to my top too.
Yeah, this kind of blue is one of my favorite colors. So a couple of things about the yarn. You can, if you've been knitting for a while, you can feel the lanolin in your hands, which I like. It's kind of like a nice hand conditioner. What I've noticed is that the thickness does seem to vary, that the lighter colors are a little seem a little finer
Yeah,
than
I've
the
noticed that
than
too.
the darker colors.
Some are a little more fluffy.
Some are a little bit more fluffy. It's definitely a pleasant to knit with. I'm enjoying knitting with it. And this one, I had like a region that I decided, I ummed and ahed about it, but I cut it out. I don't know if you can see that it's basically just not spun really.
Right, compared to, let's hold out a strand to compare here.
Yeah.
You can see that.
I mean, I was trying to see if I could actually twist it, but then I just cut it out and split spliced it. But yeah,
this might not be that bad if you were just knit in one color, but if this was like, you know, one stitch in color work, it would just like pop out and not the look it might have worked in like Anna's sweater you were working on there, but not for this type of project.
No,
so I think it makes sense to cut that out.
I think we are loving it. It's an involved project. I'm glad we're both doing it together for support.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, it's summer, so there's no real pressure, but I just want to keep going on it.
Right.
You know.
So we probably won't go into that much detail every time we talk about the Primrose, but since it was fresh and we're at the beginning of it. Okay, so some more whips. I think we each just have one other whip, right?
One other active whip, yeah.
Would you like to talk about yours?
Okay, I am working on the Water Lily, which Kia from Kia's podcast, one of my favorite podcasts. She podcasts from Sweden and she makes 2 podcasts, one in Swedish and one in English. She made the Water Lily. It's a pattern from Garbo, which is a Swedish yarn company, designed to be knit in linen, and her version is really beautiful. It's grey and she's got water lilies in black. So the pattern is Vattenlilja, which is water lily in Swedish. I probably butchered that. And the designer is Inga Semmingsen. So I did do a swatch and I had some sirdar summer linen yarn in my stash. I don't know if that's focusing, which is actually discontinued yarn. It's 50-gram balls. It's only 10% linen and 90% acrylic. It's pretty soft and shiny. So I have 6 balls of this, and I was debating of trying to get another color on D stash for the water lily because it's color work. So this is a top which is similar to this, except it's the raglan is a cable. The raglan increases our cables.
Cute.
Which I really like. And then it's the sleeves will be just above the elbow with some stranded contrast color work, and then the water lily motif is on the bottom, kind of like the laces on here. So as I was debating whether to try to get some yarn on D-stash, I came across 50 grams of this black linen blend that I had left over from a top I made a few years ago, and I have about 47 grams of this, and they say 50 grams will be enough. So it might be a yarn chicken situation, but so that's why I did the swatch, because I wanted to see how the 2 different yarns played together, and also for gauge. So you can see,
hold it a little closer.
There's my water lily.
Very nice.
Which is actually, this is upside down.
Oh,
it should be like that.
Oh, there we go. Now it's much more obviously a lily.
Yeah. So I think it works okay, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a contrast. It's kind of cool.
It is kind of dramatic, but I wanted to...
Yeah, we're here for the drama.
I mean, I didn't want to do white. I didn't want that red and white.
Yeah.
The other color I was contemplating, this comes in a navy blue, like a medium blue. I was contemplating a medium blue.
I'm not as into red and blue combo. I think the red and black is almost kind of got like a Japanese feel to it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like...
So now I'm thinking I need a black linen skirt.
So you can wear the black linen skirt with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'm not sure it would go with white.
No.
So
I think black would be nice.
I'm going to be on a lookout for a nice black linen skirt. I do have some black linen pants, but they're kind of faded now. So this is where I am. I'm just still, I haven't separated for the sleeves, but I might be getting close to separating for the sleeves. So it's basically just a standard raglan then you separate knit, and then you do the color motif top down. So I'm really enjoying it, and I got the idea from Kia's version. So that's my whip. I am also working, Mum, I made progress on your sweater. Also raglan increasing with an interesting pattern, also in red. So I'm kind of alternating with those two projects.
And you can give an update on that next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am working on a project called the Este, Este.
Oh, okay.
And it's by Justyna, I'm going to put this down below because I'm not saying this properly. Justyna Lorkowska.
We choose designers with complex names.
I know. This has been in my queue for a while because I know last time I was talking about doing a Yamagara pattern. Mm-hmm. That lady's name I think is Bernice. And I was looking at a couple of her patterns, and one of the ones I really liked is only available in like a magazine, electronic magazine. Oh. And I have to take a look at the other patterns to make sure I like at least one or two more, to make sure I feel good about buying that booklet. So this has been in my queue for a while, this project or this pattern. So I decided to go with it. So I swatched two.
Oh, good.
It's not as cool as a swatch since there's no color, but there we go. I
Very
swatched,
nice.
And I was off a little bit by like one stitch for my row and stitch count. But this is a pretty loose top, so I just was like, I swatched, but I think it'll be fine. So I'm knitting the smallest size, and I'm using the yarn that I got on local yarn shop day from Driftwood Yarns. It's the Ella Rae silk. I believe it's 100% silk.
It is.
Ella Rae rustic silk, and it's this green that has all these different flecks in it. Yeah.
So it's is it a fingering? I think it is a fingering.
It's fingering, yep.
And what size needles are you using?
I am using US size 5. So you cast on the top, as you're increasing, you do the lace motif, which is kind of, there we go.
Oh, that shows nicely.
So that's on the sleeves.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's similar to yours. And that's on the top here.
Yeah.
So then you pick up and do a neckline. Right? Is that the right word?
Yes. Well, I don't know why we did
I don't know why. It's like collar, but it's not. It looks kind of wide.
I suppose neckband is the proper terminology.
So I tried this on, and it is a little large, but I'm hoping you pick up for size 3 to do it. It'll come in a little. You're supposed to then, here's my armhole. You're supposed to then just pick up and do the armband. But I think I'm gonna try and do a little bit more of the lace repeat. That'll go up here just to make the sleeve a little longer, because right now it's going to kind of be like this, and I kind of want it to be a little longer to show more of the lace. So I think I'm going to do one more repeat, but right now I'm just in the body, round and round. I just switched over to the second ball, like
100 grams, right? 100 gram skeins.
I believe, yeah. There are some decreases on the side, so I've done those. I have my stitch markers for that, and there is one, is it the faux seam where you do a purl in there. So this is a nice contrast to the Primrose, because right now I'm just round and round and round. So I'll do a couple more inches, and then I'll try it on to see how I'm going for the length, but this is knitting up quite quickly, and I'm excited about it.
All the summer stuff. When you were showing up your swatch, I remembered that another comment we had, that swatches are good for another reason. You can save them, and in case you have a hole or something and you ever need some extra yarn to fix something down the road, you have it.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Another incentive for swatching.
Yeah. So Park and Knit, I follow her on Instagram. Don't look yet. Okay, so on Instagram, I love following Park of Park and Knit, and Jessie Made Designs, and James Watts, and they all have like pretty fun modern patterns, and they're totally friends, and they seem so cool and so fun. And Jessie made someone that has the outline tank that I knit.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, so I haven't actually knit a pattern of Parks yet. She has the Notorious RBG sweater, and I was looking at her pattern when I did that, but I didn't have the right yarn for it. So I've been wanting to knit one of her patterns, and she came out with this pattern called Ghost. And is it Ghost or Ghost Whisper?
I've seen that pattern. Yes.
Yeah. So it's
I see.
It is mohair, but it is like a I guess like it could be a summer knit. So it's called Ghost Whisperer.
I've seen that pattern. Now I know why you were raiding my mohair stash.
So a couple months ago, we bought some mohair from Stranded Dye Works, Amy Florence over in the UK. And I have this beautiful, it's purple. There's some like really fun pops of color in there, as you can see. And this pattern, so it's kind of a crop tee. It's actually knit bottom up. I'm probably gonna make mine a little longer, but there's a picture of Park and wearing hers, and it has these like fun balloon sleeves. And so it's just one strand of mohair, and it's knit on size 10.5 needles.
Gosh.
So in her pattern, she does say to cast on loosely. Well, I did not cast on loosely. I tried, but I didn't. So I have this on massive stitch holders because I tried it on, and let me see if I can hold it up. I can barely get this over me.
Really?
With mohair.
It's just too tight.
With mohair, there's no stretch for the bind on or the cast on I did. This is as tight as I can pull it.
You mean
right?
as wide as
wide as I can pull it. So I can't get this. I can barely get it on. I also, let me see if I can hold this up with just one. I want to hold something light behind it. Let me hold this behind it. So the yarn is, what is it, like variegated?
Variegated, yeah.
So it looks really pretty. However, when it's at this loose gauge and this yarn isn't being held with anything, and this is what I want your opinion from, and this is not a knock on Amy's yarn by any means, but to me, this almost looks like it's stained. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it almost looks like where the darker color comes in, in the pooling, like I spilled something or something. You know what I mean? And I think that I'm not doing a service to this yarn knitting it like this. I think this yarn needs to be held with a neutral, maybe like a white lace, and knit at a smaller gauge in order to really showcase it. Yeah.
Plus, I have some of Amy's yarn, and we had a pack that we were going to knit together, and you snuck off. And started it.
But I have more of Amy's yarn too. I have the teal color.
Oh, that's right. Okay, thank God for that.
Don't worry. I was thinking about that. And so, yeah. So I think I'm going to rip this out. I think I have to.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, actually, I don't think it looks like stained. I mean, but I do think you're not doing the yarn justice.
I'm not.
I mean, it is a very interesting concept, but
it's so light and so fun. So I still want to knit this pattern, but I almost just started ripping it out when I made this decision. But I was like, you know what? Let me talk about it and share, because it's just like the yarn is beautiful. Like I love how there's let's see if I can hold up a spot where you can see there's just like some green and everything, but I just feel like it's not the right project for this yarn. So that's why I was raiding your stash. So you have some single skeins of mohair where you've just used little bits here and there. Again, this pattern's knit bottom up. So I'm thinking of swiping these 3 from you. And the pattern, Park's cropped version, the smallest size, is about 420 yards, less than 450 yards. But I'm definitely gonna make mine a little longer, so I'm thinking I'm gonna need more yarn than what her pattern size calls for. So I'm thinking of starting bottom up, starting with this deeper purple, then going to the lighter, and then doing the white at the top, and I'll figure out how I want to do the sleeves as well. So I think that's what I'm gonna do, and just kind of use these, at least get through these 2 skeins completely, and then maybe there's just like a pop of white at the yoke or something like that. Hopefully the sleeve and that part of the body can maybe be in this medium purple. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna cast on for this, and it'll be my easier knitting after I finish this to bounce back and forth with Primrose. So that was, I don't know if a surprise is the right way to say it, but
interesting, yeah.
My debate, my ghost whisperer. So yeah, I'm excited.
And what are you going to wear underneath it?
I don't know yet. We'll see how it turns out.
You might need to make a bralette.
Yeah.
A bralette.
So yeah, it's kind of excited about that.
That does look like a fun project. I remember seeing it actually recently and thinking about it. It must go really quickly on size 10.5 needles.
This was so fast. And like 3 hours probably for all of this.
And it's a great way, again, of using up these smaller amounts of mohair. Okay, so we still need to figure out what to use Amy's yarn for. I have 2 gorgeous skeins that I've been saving. So Amy has a really nice podcast, Stranded. She's got a really great sense of humor. She lives in Scotland. That's another podcast.
She used to live in the southern UK, but now she's up in Scotland.
Yeah.
Another podcast, because people have been asking what we like to watch. Chevy Rell, her podcast is called Chevy's Stuff, and she is in, I believe, Indiana in the Midwest. She is a riot. Oh my God. She's great. She's so funny. I love how honest she is with her projects, and she's super adventurous. Also great sense of humor. She's really fun to watch. So definitely check Chevy out if you haven't heard of her before.
Yeah. And another couple of podcasts I'm going to mention that I enjoy is Countryside Knitting, which is 2 friends in Norway, and like Kia, they do a podcast in English, and they do a podcast in Norwegian as well.
That is amazing.
It is a commitment. They've been doing a podcast for about 5 years, I think, and they just started doing an English version about a year or so ago. And they make a lot of pretty elaborate Norwegian style knitting that I really enjoy. Use a lot of Norwegian yarn, of course. And then another new to me podcast that I enjoy is in French, Tricolibri. And she has a tricot bus that she used to go around in pre-pandemic days. And it's in French, which I can understand maybe just a little bit of it. But I actually really enjoy watching it and listening in French. She has beautiful projects. I really love her aesthetic. So those are, we go in phases as to who we're binge watching.
Yeah, we'll talk about new ones.
We'll talk about we talked about a lot of the male knitting podcasts in a previous episode that we really enjoy, and I am anxiously awaiting the Bearded Pearls next episode.
Oh, speaking of other podcasts, you might have seen that Kristy Glass released her interview episode of us. So we'll link to that too. So Kristy interviewed us for her Mother's Day specials, where she released quite a few fun mother-daughter combos, and the Knitmore girls are on there, and Chelsea and her mom, and Sue and a couple others that are fun to watch too.
Yes. I enjoyed watching all of the mother-daughters in that series, and I feel honored that we're in such great company.
Totally.
Thanks, Kristy.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was a fun experience.
Okay, so I think now we should do our giveaways.
Yeah, so thank you for your interest. For those of you that have said that you would love to finish the rooster and that free-form embroidery.
So let's do... Oh, you know what? So the rooster, actually, I caught one of Kristy Glass's lives the other week, and she showed some of the work that some of what she has on her walls in her house, and she has a rooster. I'll insert a photo that she bought on Etsy and had framed. So I thought that was just kind of funny.
Coincidence.
Yeah.
So this is the rooster that we're gonna send off, and it is an Elizabeth O'Brien. Somebody had asked. A lady from England,
Elizabeth
Bradley, which I guess is a famous designer. Here's the rooster, but this is an area that I don't really have any knowledge of. Okay, now we're gonna do the drawing for the rooster and the embroidery. And Natasha, you were explaining, I found a website where we can filter the comments. We filter out the duplicates, and for roosters, so we had eight of you that were interested in finishing the rooster, and I'm just gonna hit start, and it goes through. And the winner is Triple S.
Triple S.
Well, I think I'm late to the rooster party, but actually you weren't. And if you'd love to finish the rooster and you have an affinity for rooster, I include them in quilts.
Okay, so I'll put that below. Triple S, email us at knitinc2019@gmail.com, and we will get that off to you. Congratulations.
And thank you for your interest.
Yeah, and you'll have to send us a photo when you complete it. We'd love to see that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Really happy it's going to a home. All right, so now we'll do the embroidery one. So I'll put in, instead of filtering for rooster, we will filter on embroidery.
And here it is.
Thank God for this technology.
I know, because
All right, get YouTube comments.
Okay,
there were 7 people that had embroidery in their comment. So lucky 7, let's see, click start. Francesca Spalletta. Hi from England. I found your podcast thanks to Arne and Carlos.
Great.
You're so lovely and calm. We're not always calm. And it's a joy watching you. Thank you. I'm about to start my Primrose. Oh my God, congratulations. Yay. Marie Whalen's yarn is very soft and sheepy, and just touching it and smelling it makes me happy. Agreed. Would be interested in the embroidering. If posting to the UK is not a problem, we will do it. My mom has lived in the UK. We've got family in the UK. We are committed.
And I'm coming to the UK. I have a ticket, hopefully.
Hopefully, we'll see how it goes.
In June. So Francesca, as Natasha said, send us a note to email. Send us an email, knitinc2019@gmail.com. And when I'm going to take this with me to England, so you will have to wait a little bit, and then I'll just post it to you when I'm in England.
Yeah,
that's kind of fun.
So we'll get your information, and then when my mom goes to England, she'll send you a note.
And so talking about showing, sending us pictures, I was thinking that I really love hearing about what you're knitting, and if you share if you're on Instagram and follow us on Instagram, or not follow us on Instagram, if you post pictures and include #KnitInc, then that would be one way of us to be able to see your projects, which I would really enjoy.
Or tag us so we can see what you're doing.
Or tag us, yeah.
We have a Ravelry group, but I haven't really been keeping up with that.
We haven't been that active, and to be completely honest, I don't really have enough time and bandwidth to be active on Instagram, YouTube, and also Ravelry that much.
We don't use Ravelry as much for social stuff.
No, we tend to use Instagram and read your YouTube comments. I do answer eventually messages on Instagram. Yeah, I've just been thinking about that. I would really, we both would really enjoy seeing your projects too. Yeah. So please hashtag or tag us.
And we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out, yeah. I love that some of you have been inspired to start making sweaters, and I'm sort of mulling over the idea of maybe having a sweater, simple, accessible sweater knit along in the fall. We've only had one other knit along. Oh, I know, there was one more thing that was on my mind, is one of you suggested the pale shelter tank.
Oh yeah,
which is a really nice pattern, and there's a sweater version of it too. So thank you, that's gone straight in my queue, and I don't have any clear dream knitting right now. I'm pretty engaged in my current whips, but that's on my short list.
Yeah.
Maybe not the tank, but the sweater with shorter sleeves. Yeah, I'm really all about, I think we both are about summer knitting. So I think that's enough. I think that's a lot. Thank you so much for joining us on our knitting journey, for watching. Happy knitting, wash your hands, wash your needles, have fun. Until the next time.
Bye.
Bye.